You never know what people are dealing with.
We're not sharing, we're holding this stuff in. This can have devastating consequences.
But as soon as you talk to someone, the relief often is immediate.
All of us are wearing our suspenders for a reason, for someone. Whew. All right, let's go. Hey, my friend, welcome back or welcome to the Don't Change Much podcast. My name's Mike Cameron. I'm just a burnt out CEO who lost a loved one to tragedy. And now I spend a lot of my time running stupid long distances through the mountains, trying to figure it all out. And I'm here with my co-host, Trevor Botkin. And Trevor's been through, he's had to navigate his share of shit in the trades. Trevor, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. This is an early morning start, but I'm finding my personality. I'm usually a very grumpy, quiet guy that just sits around his tea in the morning, but I'll bring the best of me today.
Good stuff. Well, hey, June is our favorite month here at the Canadian Men's Health Foundation because June is, in fact, Men's Health Month. And we've got a campaign that we're kicking off this month that I'm pretty stoked about. We've been talking about it a little bit, but Trevor, I see you're wearing some suspenders today. So for those of you that are listening on audio, what do you got going on there, Trevor?
Well, Mike, I've got some Prison Blues suspenders, actually from Oregon Correctional, not facility, but the whole network. They have a denim company called Prison Blues, and I'm a big fan of denim and workwear. It kind of ties into, I guess, my identity in the trades and the culture I came up with and growing up on a farm.
Why am I not shocked that you have some like high-end fashion thing?
I know, it's funny, hey, because like that kind of doesn't fit the trades logic, does it? No, I've always loved I just love clothes, man. I'm a clothes horse. I love to, look good. I always, you go and you mash around on the job site, swinging hammers and breaking stuff all day. And then I just like to get dressed up. I got to elevate myself.
You elevate myself a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm really excited about the conversation we're going to have today. We're joined by John Armstrong, who's the president of Armstrong Strategies, Graham Love, who is the senior innovator at Armstrong Strategies, and together, they've spent years working on issues such as mental health and addictions. And in fact, they are the brains and maybe more importantly, the heart behind this campaign. We also have Andrew Jackson with us. Andrew runs Jackson Events, a company that represents a large roster of former professional athletes, especially hockey players. And gents, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you.
Well, thanks for having us.
I love seeing everybody's got the suspenders rocking today. So maybe Graham, tell us a little bit about this suspenders campaign.
Yeah, Mike, we've been working now with the Canadian Men's Health Foundation just for over a year and a half. We were asked by Kenton to brainstorm around an idea for a fundraiser for Men's Health Month. While I was sitting down, we were thinking of what could be a fun campaign, and an image of my grandpa Love, an old Glaswegian, an old Scottish shipbuilder, riveter, and he always wore suspenders. His pants that were a bit too big for him, no shirt on, and his suspenders, and he wore his suspenders so much without his shirt on.
Nice.
That he had this mark on his back, and I said, suspenders. We'll ask people to wear suspenders, and that's how it started. So it was an image of my grandpa, who was a lovely man who passed away now 36 years ago. And we really liked it. And that's how it got kicked off.
That's amazing. I think you nailed it, man. As soon as I heard about this idea, I like the hair stood up and I was like, of course, it seems so obvious. How has this not been done before? It's just perfect. In my family, like, again, my grandfather, my father notoriously wore suspenders. I think there's a place we get with our body shape as we age that maybe the belt's not the answer anymore, right?
No, it's not helping. It's not.
No.
You're always fiddling, and I might be They might stay on me past June. They might stay on me past June.
Andrew, you were pretty stoked about this whole campaign when we were chatting earlier. When you first heard about this, what was your reaction?
I think it's a really unique campaign that is very clear that we all need little help, right? And male, female, doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. I think we all keep too much in, and we need a little help. And this concept of supporting each other and suspenders up, and really, to me, hit home. I grew up playing hockey and wearing suspenders. I was in the military for 8 years, and we had suspenders on our gear when we were jumping out of airplanes, and all those things combined. As soon as I met with the guys in Niagara last week, I was there doing a corporate event for a client with Doug Gilmore. It just worked out that they were in Niagara, that I could come a bit early and meet them. Dougie came over, and when they left, Dougie and I were carrying these suspenders. They'd given us kindly a couple pairs of them to wear, and our client, the CEO of the client, says, "What do you got going on there, fellas?" And it allowed us to then have a conversation about, hey, here's a really cool campaign I think we're going to get involved with. And from that moment on, I really liked the guys and how their passion kind of quickly came through, and helped me kind of get excited about a bit of a mental picture of how Jackson Events and how we could support an initiative like this. Obviously, the celebrities, the athletes, the brand ambassadors, if you will, get asked to do a lot of things. And this is one that I don't just think, I've had conversations with 30 of them in the last week, that they are all really excited to get behind. So I'm excited to do what our little part will be to help support and kick this off.
I love that. And I don't know that any part is little. It's the cumulative effect of all of the parts together that really make these things work. John, what about you, man? What does this mean to you?
So, a campaign like this is an opportunity for us to speak to men and all of their loved ones as well, and basically say, pay attention to that little voice in the back of your head, and actually do something this month, this June. Actually do something, and to the loved ones, let's help the men to actually listen to that little voice in the back of their heads and actually do something. So that's what this campaign really gave us. It gives us the opportunity to do, and to Graham's point, when we were talking about the idea and his grandpa, I actually think he said that his grandpa appeared in the seat beside him. Just for the record, I'm just saying that.
Okay.
That all of a sudden you realize, wow, yeah, I mean, suspenders are so, like, they were ubiquitous. They were like everywhere. And they're not necessarily everywhere now, but they were everywhere. It's almost an iconic men's piece of apparel that nobody is kind of was there and available for a campaign like this. So,
we're bringing them back, man. We're bringing them back.
We're bringing them back. And then, and then when we were talking, when we got into contact with Andrew and all of the hockey players who all have the history, firefighters and emergency responders, construction workers, all of a sudden you realize how prevalent suspenders are, and there they were, available for us to use for a campaign that raises awareness about men's health. So it was a straight up natural. We were able to get it together really fast, and so we're just really pumped about it.
What's funny is it's like a lot of things. I've been seeing people in a lot of the trades, and there's so much construction going on and road work going on. Everywhere I'm driving, people got suspenders on. And every time I've been driving by, I've been chuckling about it, thinking, what a really great campaign. We all don't know how to start the conversation. Well, we don't know, we're holding whatever we're holding in. And I think that's across the board. But as soon as you talk to someone, the relief often is immediate, and you just got to help each other a little bit. And that's this whole concept of the suspenders campaign, I think, is that we're all there to help each other. And whether it's just to listen or to talk or sit together, whatever that may be, that I think that's why this is so important.
You know, I see this in the business world. You've got these guys, and I'm sure you see it with the athletes. I mean, high performing. What are the struggles that you see? And I know for a lot in the business world, high performing, you know, they don't necessarily want to acknowledge that there's a struggle because they're, you know, that's part of their identity is the high performance piece. And, you know, the two aren't mutually exclusive. You can struggle and be high performing. So what do you see in the space you play in?
Well, a lot of times it's perceived that it's a weakness if you want to admit that you're struggling in any capacity. Wendell Clark, you know, former Maple Leaf great captain, leader, one of the best, you know, Leafs in the history of Toronto, was here yesterday at the office doing a little video for one of our corporate partners on being better, about being a leader. And they've got their annual general meeting coming up, and they wanted to have Wendell do a little take on that. And one of the question was, what was one of the things as you as a leader that you had to make sure you're always, you know, bringing to your team? How did you make everyone around you better? And Wendell answered that said, even when you're not feeling up to par, you're as a leader, sometimes you're you know, your intention is always to show that you're smiling, you're eager, you're helpful, you're strong. And he goes, and sometimes you're not. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to confide in a teammate. And whether that's in the trades or in business or in a marriage, you know, you have to communicate. And I think our guys that we're working with, and over the next, the month of June, we've got, I think, about 92 or 93 celebrity appearances that we're doing at all these different charity events. And in the last week, since meeting with the guys in Niagara, I've been chatting with all of our, most hockey guys, but a few baseball guys. I'm with Joe Carter tomorrow night, and Cito Gaston and Rod Black. They're all going to be part of this campaign. We're going to ask them to jump on board and be a part of it. But every one of the old hockey guys I'm talking to, and two of the events we're doing are hockey related. So they're going to be playing hockey in Moncton this weekend and Saskatoon next weekend. They're all coming up with their own individual idea about a photo they're going to take and how they're going to do it. And we're talking about, it doesn't have to be suspenders, because one of the guys was like, well, I've always just wore skate laces tied to my pants so I could feel it around my shoulders. I'm like, perfect. You're right. So it doesn't have to be, you know, very brand new suspenders that you go out and buy to do this campaign. You can create with anything you have. I've heard people use a tie.
You know, I gotta say though, Andrew, you mentioned a lot of sports legends here, and this might be a great point just to acknowledge that we've recently lost a Canadian legend of hockey, Claude Lemieux, which really brings this point we're trying to make home, is like, we're not sharing, we're holding this stuff in. This can have devastating consequences for people, for men.
Yeah, you never know what people are dealing with in their personal life. They show this face, and I've known Claude Lemieux for, my brother won a World Juniors with him in 1985 with Wendell and Shane Corson and that whole crew. I worked with him for 25 years. My brother called me last Thursday, just after that, and to tell me he was really shaken because he'd been working with Claude. My brother works for the Oilers, and they were negotiating or discussing possible players from Claude that he represented to come, and, you know, no indication whatsoever that he was struggling in any way. And I think that, you know, the hockey family, the sport family, the business community, well, is all rallying around this. And I think that, yeah, everyone has something in their mind that they're thinking about, and you know, Claude was an incredible guy that did so much for community and charity. And I know Glenn Healy and the NHL alumni have worked tirelessly to build programs to help with the alumni players. They've raised the bar for all of us to chase, to try to identify and help in any capacity that we can. But yeah, Claude was a very sad story for his family and his friends and everyone in the community.
Well, condolences to everybody around him. Tremendous loss. If I can draw a comparison between the skilled trades and professional sports, it's that identity, that grit, the determination, the resilience, the strength, almost at all costs, right? And that's where I see a lot of men, especially in my industry, get in the deep end, right? They there's got to be. I always say we're too tough for our own good, right? Like we'll tough it out until it costs us our lives or our families or our financial success. Like we will ignore a lot of red flags and just grin and bear it and try and suffer through things. But there's an easier way. Like Suspenders On, the cracks are showing in men's health. Like seriously, boys, come on.
And I love that as a point. We talk about the self-reliance, and as men, absolutely self-reliance is something we strive for, that resilience piece. But at what point does that self-reliance become a problem? And again, I think the Suspenders On campaign is just such a good analogy for that. We can rely on our pants staying up by themselves, but when they fall down, we don't want to be like the plumbers, and we don't want our cracks showing. So we want to make sure that we have these conversations. I love that, again, this is a serious topic, and I think about all of us are wearing our suspenders for a reason, for someone. Who are you wearing your suspenders for? And for me, I really dove into men's health through tragedy. My girlfriend over a decade ago was murdered by an ex-boyfriend who died by suicide afterwards. And so that's who I'm wearing my suspenders for. And I would love to hear a little bit about, Graham, you touched on your grandfather, but share some of the other stories.
I lost my older brother, Andrew, 4 years ago. He died from liver cancer, and if he had, if he'd gone in for an earlier checkup, if he'd taken better care of himself, and if we had noticed or nudged him at the right time, I'm certain he'd still be here. And I did that post. I did my first post yesterday, and I'm wearing mine. So I'm wearing mine for my brother Andrew, and I donated to the Canadian Men's Health Foundation. I'm sharing it on social media, and I'm encouraging everyone here in the room to do the same, and everyone I meet for the month of June. So if you do need suspenders too, I'd like to mention Gunner at Lynn Valley Manufacturing, that we on our landing page. There's a place to get suspenders if you're not sure and you don't have ties. And they're donating a portion of the proceeds as well. So they've been fantastic sending them out to everybody, and they're made in Gravenhurst. I think they might be the only Canadian suspender maker as well. So
and he made suspenders for Red Green, just for the
I was
record,
just gonna say, John, thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not sure about
Legendary.
Mr. Dress Up, yes, but Red Green, he did make them for Red Green. And,
Nice.
And Mike, you're channeling a little bit of Red Green there too with the two colors.
Totally. I love it. And John, one of the things that I've heard consistently here throughout our conversation is not just the awareness piece, but action. And Graham, you touched on the nudge. So John, maybe two things for you. Who are you wearing your suspenders for? And what's the nudge you would suggest to men out there?
To be honest with you, I'm probably wearing these suspenders for all the guys who are kicked to the curb that we see on the street. There are a whole lot of people who never got support, and they're paying the price now, and we're all paying the price now, and it's an absolute tragedy. So I'm probably wearing it for them. And the nudge, I mean, the story one of those stories that I've got is which is why sort of everything that I've been talking about sort of speaks to this idea of listening to that voice. I needed to go to the doctor at one point. I knew I needed to go to the doctor, and I just kind of put it off. If you just kind of put it off, and you think about it and you go on with your day and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was worried about another guy in my office who needed to go to the doctor, and I was really worried about him. And so I was chatting with him one day, and I said, okay, I need to go to the doctor. So I'll make you a deal. If you go to the doctor, I'll go to the doctor. So he said, okay. And turned out I had prostate cancer, which was okay. I'm okay now. I don't have a prostate anymore, which is a serious drug. But anyway, apart from that, I'm okay. I'm okay now. He got the help that he needed as well. And it was just, it was one of those things where I didn't listen to the voice in the back of my head for me, but I did, I was kind of looking after somebody else, or doing what I thought was, helping to look after somebody else in the process. I help myself. So.
Yeah. And you know what? That's so important. The preventableness of so many of these things, or the treatability. My dad also was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but fortunately they caught it early. He also does not have a prostate anymore. But he's 86 now. And I think we're 20 years past when he was first diagnosed, and he's still closing his rings on his Apple Watch every single day. That's his thing. If it's 11 o'clock at night and he hasn't done his thing, he's like, oh, I got to go out for my walk.
Nice.
So he's doing it. Andrew, how about you?
There's a lot of people come to mind, and I think Dale Howard-Chuck, who was a very, very close friend of mine, passed away of stomach cancer, coming up on 7 years. It's insane. But he made me promise him that I would go to the doctor. We spent a lot of time together. We'd created a charity golf tournament with Dale, ran it really successfully for years. And he had a little tickle in his throat, and he'd be every once in a while. And he finally went to the doctor, and they saw a little spot, and it finally got to see an ultrasound and a scope, and they found us something down, and ultimately passed away of stomach cancer, and then in his esophagus. So he made me promise him that I would go to a doctor. So I think about that a lot. I think about him every day. But I think for me, I served 8 years in the military. I didn't have any hard time, but a lot of my very close friends did, and they served, Canada, for 25, 30, 35 years, some of these guys, and they battle. And one of my closest friends I lived with in Germany, and I spoke to yesterday, I try to check in with him all the time. You don't know what people are going through. We've talked about this already, but he's a tough, strong guy, and he was the first to make a comment and a shot at somebody in a joking way, and come on, pick it up, let's go. We've all had this, and Fletch said to me yesterday, he goes, Jax, everybody suffers, everybody. And I think there's so much truth to that. And so that's why I think this campaign is really important, is that we can just talk about it. And I guess the push for me would be, if you feel like you need to talk. Don't say I'll do it tomorrow, because tomorrow sometimes it's too late. And just let me expand on that a bit. I've been chatting the last month with a real close friend, last 3 months, I guess, but the last month, real close friend that played in the NHL for 20 years, immediately started coaching professionally, many teams in NHL, and he's just finished his 22nd year coaching. And he's been trying to make a decision if he's going to continue to coach or be done. And he's 60 years old. He's got 4 great daughters who are married, 3 of them, and they got grandkids, and he's been on the go with his wife for 42 years. And we talked about what he's going to do. And he's kind of been struggling with, hey, am I going to go to a new city, and am I going to go back to St. Louis or New York or Columbus or Anaheim? And I think he's made the decision that he's not going to. He's going to make a decision not to coach. And I said, and he was relieved, and he said, I really feel good about this decision. And I said, it's like when you have to. What I said to him, I said, it's like when you were a kid and you knew you had to break up with a girlfriend, and you put it off and you put it off and you put it off, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to. But the minute you finally get the courage to do what you know you have to do, and whether that's breaking up or making a decision or whatever that means, doesn't matter, talking to someone, communicating, you immediately feel relief. And I've had that I held stuff in and I didn't know why I was in a funk, and I wasn't good in my business. I wasn't helpful to my team like I wanted to be. And my wife, we have 2 incredible daughters that have allowed me to go and pursue my dream in business and support me. And I don't know why. I just was in a funk until one day I had a chat with my most senior guy, who was a really close friend, and we sat and talked. And he kind of said to me, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And I said, "I don't know." And we just started talking, and I started crying and I started letting it out. But the relief I had from that was incredible. And it just allowed me to go and then talk to my wife and talk to my daughters and talk to my friends and really get to a better place. So when John Graham, I've been talking to Trevor, or Kenton, sorry, for the better part of a year. Wendell Clark had put him in touch with me, met with John and Graham, and it really hit home how passionate they were about this, and how I think it surprised me how passionate I was. Maybe, I don't know, and I am, and so I'm. Anyway, it affects everybody, and we all have to do it a different way. But ultimately, it's just being together, knowing that there's support is a big relief, I believe.
Oh, I think it's massive. And I thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's so important, that to acknowledge that we all struggle. All of our struggles are different. We don't have to compare struggles. But for fuck's sakes, dudes, we don't have to struggle alone.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the beauty of this. There is support. And if we open up and talk and share, there is a magic that happens. And I want to acknowledge, like, the flip side of that is, if you're on the receiving end of that, is just being able to hold that space for somebody to share. Because 9 times out of 10, if you guys share with me a struggle, you don't need me to fix it. You just need me to hear it. And then it's like, oh, okay, thank God. And, as soon as we start flipping into fix mode, that can shut things down. So yeah, my little nudge or takeaway for us guys is to practice that holding of space and just being that ear without having to fix things, without adding a judgment to them. Gentlemen, we are bumping up against time. I feel like we could go for days with these conversations, and I am so grateful. Trevor, last word to you, man. Anything you want to say before we start to wrap up?
This has been an amazing conversation, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us today. This campaign, I believe, is going to be a game changer. I think I'm so excited about it. I'm not picking on people, but honestly, not everybody can grow a mustache. So, we've got enough t-shirt days, I think. And hats off to the Pink Ribbon campaign. But suspenders, man, suspenders are cool. Everybody loves suspenders. Suspenders are cute on kids. They're cute on women. They're cute on men. I put suspenders on every time I go to a wedding. I mean, they're awesome. And everybody I know so far that's put them on has been like, suspenders are awesome. Like they're just reminding themselves about that. So I'm excited to see all the suspender photos. I'm excited to see the donations come in. Let's not forget about that let's support Canadian Men's Health Foundation and doing the work they do, because we really do make an impact. And as Andrew pointed out, the genuine enthusiasm and passion for the work we do here at CMHF it's palpable. I mean, everybody you talk to in this organization, it comes through loud and clear. Gentlemen, this has been a riot. Thank you very much for your time.
I love this. And Trevor, you know, I'm going to have to enlist my 23-year-old daughter again. Guys, we did a photo shoot in Vancouver earlier this year. And I said to my daughter, like, I'm going up against Trevor here. And he's a pretty handsome dude with some style. Can you help outfit me? So she took me shopping. We got some stuff. And then I showed her the photos afterwards. And she's like, oh, dude, he outfitted you so hard. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And we'll make sure that all of the links to all of the places to donate and get involved are in the show notes. And folks listening and watching at home, make sure you hit like, subscribe, do all the things, share this with your friends. Let's have this conversation. Let's bring back the Suspenders. I tell you what, here's my commitment. I'm running the Fat Dog 120 in August. I will run the Fat Dog 120 in Suspenders.
Do it.
Awesome.
There
Awesome.
we go. Although I gotta watch the chafing of the nipple.
Yeah, the chafing. Chafing's a big deal.
So we'll give it a go. All right,
do it.
Jen. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you, gentlemen. Thanks, everybody.